Welcome everyone. Today I have a very exciting Summoner's Magic Find Rarity bonus build that I want to share with you guys. So looking behind me here, we are attempting a tier 15 plus double corrupted map, and this is a boss that melts in seconds. But there's something very strange and very interesting after the boss dies. So let me have a look and let's have a look and see what the boss drops. So let's have a look. So have a brief summary. It dropped 5 of the tier 15 maps, 3 exalted orbs, 3 of the tier rare items, and also 3 of the weather crisis fragment. Now, for those of you that is not aware, those weather fragments actually sells for a lot of exalt and even divines. So let me show you guys on the trading side. People are selling this for about 40 exalt to 1 divine on the trading side. And if I come over to my exchange, I can show you guys over here. The current life rate is about 44. Usually they can sell it for up to 47 or down to 40. So each of those fragments that we just dropped is selling for at least 40 exalt. And 3 of them is 120 exalt, which is close to 2 divine. So just this round in general, for a tier 15 boss was able to give us 1 to 2 divine at least. Sometimes the rare items were sold for 1 to 2 divine. Because they're tier 3, they're some of the best energy shielding items, and there's a lot of maps, and sometimes even unique items sell for a lot of divines. So yes, in this video, we'll teach you guys step by step how to set up your Magic Find Rarity bonus summoner, which won't take the biggest investment, and I'll teach you guys the minimum ways, the cheaper ways, the expensive ways, and we have all the calculations that is over here for what item you can get what rarity, and what are the good jobs coming out of those rarities. And of course, over here I have listed all the trade filters for those potential items that can give you better rarity. And don't get too scared about how expensive those items are. Some of those items will only cost 1 exalted orb, while other items can cost up to 1 divine. So I'll go through the cheapest setup for you guys to have more magic find. Now, of course, guys, it's not really a magic find build of item setup if we don't go for some pinnacle and also uber bosses. And we love testing the bridge because it is rather cheap to buy the entry for the bridge, and the boss doesn't have crazy mechanics. So here we're using the magic find build against the pinnacle boss with the bridge boss. And you can see, we're actually getting it pretty fast. So yes, now the bosses here can drop a variety of good items. And I do believe the rattling scepter over here is the one we showcased previously, and also we use in this video as well. So the rattling scepter over here is a part of the weapon we use in this video. I think it's this one, or maybe I could be wrong. It should be this one, right? So some of those items were actually selling for pretty good, and here we have done testings and runs with the magic find build, and I'll teach you guys step by step when you can change your gears right before the boss. So notice here, after getting the bridge, we're actually changing the gears before the boss, and then we go for the boss. And this will give you the best experience in taking down the boss down with a high damage build, and then benefiting from having higher magic find. And this will give you even better jobs, and sometimes even dropping divine orbs and other better loots that is possible in the game. Now, similar to all of our videos, at the end of this video, I'll provide you guys with a replay and also demonstration of the item we used during those runs. And I'll show you guys the exact calculation of each of those items and how much bonus rarity they give. And I'll also provide you guys with a summary which shows you guys how you can getting up to 500% bonus rarity. Currently, we're around 250%, and those are some of the good loots we'll go through in this video. So just to summarize the method in case you guys are not aware. Usually we map for a map that has a boss or maybe uber boss or pinnacle boss, and the moment you get to the boss, you're going to change your gears. And then when the boss is summoned, your gear is focused on doing damage while bonus having magic find and also rarity. And this can stack up to 200 or even 500%. Now during this time, your character will be a little squishy, and this is undeniably true. So it is required you to not get hit by the boss too many times. The saving grace is that you're doing so much damage to most of the bosses, well, within 2 seconds they will die. So this reduces the chance of you failing the map because your magic find items won't give you the highest stats. But in that sense, you're actually getting a lot more rewards compared to normally not having magic find. Even getting triple or 5 tier 15 maps, lots of good items, and lots of items that can sell for a lot of divine. So briefly sharing how did we come up to this build. If you have seen yesterday's video, we talk about a boss slaying or god slaying build, which is doing a lot of damage against the boss. So over here you can see this setup at work, and the pinnacle boss will actually die within 1 to 2 seconds. And after discovering this, we start to wonder, do we need that much quicker speed? We can bring the boss down to 1 second or 2 seconds, but is that really beneficial for the players? Well, in that sense, even if you bring the boss down to like 1 second without enough magic find, it won't be as rewarding. So this is why we decided to come over to this particular archetype, which retain the damage while giving you high magic find. Now I mentioned in the video guys that you will have lower stats. Notice that resistance are lowered, even minus resistance. This is because some of the items will give you negative stats and also punishment, and this punishment can really stack up. So this means if you are attempting this build, this is a warning. You have a chance of failing. You're no longer unkillable, and if you're fighting the boss and if you don't have enough damage, you can get one-shotted by the boss, which can be devastating to lose a map and also losing experience. So keep that in mind before you dive into the build. Now briefly coming over to the builder's guide, and this will be updated after making this video, so make sure you come and check the variant for the boss slayer magic fund or rarity fund setup. So the previous boss setup will allow you to have 2 weapons that increase skill rank by 5 and also 6. Together with those boosts, you have massive amount of summons. Now it is possible to change any of those rare items, which I'll discuss with you guys on the next part, to change any of those rare items for additional magic find. But you got to pick your balance. If you change too many times and too many, you'll lose damage and you become too squishy. And finally, you can use the gold charms, which will give you more chance of getting better items because of this. Briefly going through the skill links, and I do recommend coming back to this video because we explain more things in details. So during the boss fights, we're using the link for the skeleton snipers, which is the most important, with Feeding Frenzy, Brutality, Martial Tempo, Heft, and also Physical Mastery. This by far seems to give us the highest boss damage output. We're not using Scatter Shot, we're not using Fog against the boss at the moment. Now the other important links you want to look at will be the Infernal Health. You get 6 link of 5 socket Infernal Health at level 90 automatically. So this is a level requirement to get higher. You cannot use a perfect draw on the Infernal Health. So here we have Splinter, Heavy Swing, Demonisher, Fire Mastery, and also Minion Mastery. The Masteries allows us to have higher level for these summons, which in return allows this unit to armor break enemies with more armor break and also even higher physical damage for armor break, which will armor break the boss, and Skeleton Arsoners can do work, taking the boss down within seconds. Now there's a little change with Firewalls with additional added to Spell Cascade if you want to try this. So Spell Cascade just gives you 3 Firewalls. So you can see over here, 3 Firewalls. Nothing too special, I just like it, and of course you don't have to use it. So you can also go with mobility over here, which allows you to move faster while casting Flame Wall. And here we have Fortress, Arcane Temple, Arcane Surge. As for the Raging Spirit, it is for support for Calling Strike, Main, Blind, and also Discombobulate. Vulnerability is going to be big. You will want Heightened Curse. Curse Ground is good because the boss will stay improved. Inspiration is not bad. And finally, Hexboom. I'm not sure if actually Curse Ground and Hexboom actually stack. So it's possible you don't need Hexboom against the boss because you're not really spreading this. So you just need those 3 links and those should be enough. In terms of matters, if you have the Spear 10 Spirit, you can use Clarity. If you do not, you don't have to use Clarity, so keep that in mind. And you're not really having to blink over here, but you can blink with Ingenuity and also Second Wind, and also using our 2 weapon setup. And if you don't know how to do the second weapon setup, watch the previous guide. In terms of pen offerings, we still have Persistence, Application, Dense Macabre, and also Font of Rage. The combination of the usage of those spells is actually quite straightforward. Let me fast forward a little bit so you can see when we get to the boss. And over here you can see we're using the Beta II swapping trick, which allows us to summon all the skeleton minions in front of us. And then we're going to cast a debuff on the ground, which the boss will step into. And then we're going to cast the power, the Pain Ritual offering, and this will give us the highest damage. So after resetting everything, getting everything right, the boss summons, and then you're already set for the maximized damage after casting Firewall. And those are the rotations you want to do against the boss and setting things up. Sometimes the boss will move. Just be careful with the skills and also the AoEs. And yes, you can cast a curse again, set the minions, get the ritual going, and then this will take the boss down within a few seconds. You are doing a little less damage because you're using Magic Fund build, so keep that in mind. Now there isn't that much change in terms of the skills and also passives. And again guys, if you're not sure how to use the second weapon swap, it is very important. Because look at all the green points we're getting and also additional benefits coming from curses, and coming even more from additional area and also effect with curses, which allow you to do even higher damage. So coming over to the existing items, you can see that we're using this new Uber weapon that can be dual wielded with a scepter. So this is a +3 mini alt skills, and that's all you wanted. Now over here, some of the new additional items we have tested and also added are those Advadas gold ring, and those gold ring can give up to 70, 80+% of rarity of items found. Now those items do come with a punishment. It is going to minus your all resistance by 20% for each of those rings. So this one gives 79% rarity. The helmet, we'll try to get some rarity on the helmet, which is 27%. You can get even higher, like 40% on the helmet. It is possible to get a rarity on the chairs, which I'll discuss later, but it is more risky, so we decided to not do that. Again, it is possible to get rarity on the amulet, but we decided to retain some of the stats instead of going all rarity. Now the other ring over here, it is a 77% increased rarity. Again, this ring will reduce the resistance by another 20%, and you will have even lower stats. Over here, we're dual wielding a scepter. So the other weapon +3, this one +5, means you have +8 mini alt skills, which allows you to deal a lot of damage against the boss. Now in order to deal high damage against the boss, we decided to use those pair of boots, which I showed in the previous video. This gives us 7+ skeleton archer summons or skeleton snipers, which is really good. The belt have not changed, but there's a way to get a uber unique belt that would almost double your rarity found, which I'll discuss with you guys in a more expensive Magic Fund build, which is the ultimate version. And finally over here, you can see that the gloves also have 24% rarity found. So just to come over to the summary notes, I think it's probably easier if you look at it this way. So our current gears is 27% on the helmet, 79% on the ring, 77% on the ring, 24% on the gloves. The golden frog, which we forgot to show you guys in the recording, is a 20% multiplier. You will multiply your rarity by 20%, I believe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If I get that wrong, I'll let you guys know as an update in the comments of the video. Now, it is possible to get another 30% rarity on the boots, but you'll lose a lot of summons and also damage. It is also possible to get another 57% rarity found on the chest, but you'll lose movement speed, lots of spirit. And finally, it is possible to multiply the rings rarity found by another 150 to 160%. So our current Magic Fund with the current setup you're looking at is about 250%. And with the 250%, we were able to get some of the good items, as you guys can see over here. So theory crafted and also to be tested for the future, once we have saved enough currency to try this, you can get up to 570+% if you get all the listed items. But this might not be recommended because those can be a little risky. So here I'll show you guys each of the items that will help you guys have bonus rarity. Of course, those are the fragments we found. So some of those rings are selling for about 1 to 2 divine. If you go for the cheaper ones, they probably 1 divine. But notice the rarity is a little lower. If you filter by the rarity, they're about 2 divine, and I did filter for you guys for 2 divine or 3 divine, so I don't want you guys to pay too much for those. Now at the same time, I mentioned that you can double, almost double 150% the rings rarity with this uber unique belt. Yes, this belt is one of the endgame build that works for any build, especially for Magic Find. So once we have the belt equipped, notice here the ring stats is about 79% Magic Find, and this belt will amplify its all stats by another 78% for both of the rings, which is insanely powerful. But there is a catch. This ring minus 20 all resist, so that means you're minusing close to 70 all resist because of the belt, and you become like paper thin. So if you get hit, you might die very quickly. So be aware of this. And as we keep going, it is possible to get 33% or even higher rarity on the amulet. Now I did filter the amulet by divines, and you can see 15% and up to 33%. You can go up higher. I didn't want to go too high. So if I go for divine, you probably see a better rarity. And yeah, 33% is probably the highest. And as for the helmet, it is possible to get a rarity helmet with a lot higher rarity, but at the same time, you kind of want minion skills, right? So if I type minion skills, if I type 2, this will be a little more expensive. I did filter by 2 divine. Actually, it's not too bad. Not too bad, actually. So 1 divine for this one, 62% plus 2, that's pretty good. But of course, you're losing the critical stats like health, mana, and resistance, right? So this is more of a glass cannon farming build, right to kill the boss. And similarly, the boots, you can get 30% rarity, but the trade-off over here is if you're not having the right boots over here, you will lose 6 to 7 more skeletons, means you have less damage, and that also means, you might not be able to kill the boss fast enough, and this puts your build and also your run at risk if you die. And as we keep going, the extreme rarity item that can be very good is this chest. But this chest does not give additional health, does not give additional spirit. The 57% rarity can be a bait, and you also lose movement speed. So this is for the extreme people who actually think they can get all the rarity and still pass the game and benefit from this. It is possible to min and max for this chest as well. So keep that in mind. And finally, of course, you can go for those gloves. They can give up to 60% rarity found. And those gloves, even though here shows about 2 divine, sometimes they sell for less. Sometimes they sell for 5, 10, 20 Exalt. So when you are filtering for those items, what I recommend is always try to filter them both on divine and also Exalt. So here I have divine orbs. If I type in Exalt orbs, you can see that item sometimes also sells of divine and also Exalt. If that is the case, notice those items are much cheaper than paying for 1 divine. So this is the bigger difference. This is how you get some bargains and so discounts. But of course, the item that is selling on divine will give you better stats, while the item selling on Exalt will have less rows of the stats. Now, just to make things a little easier, if you want to look into those items, what I do in most of my videos is, if you come up down over here, you can see there's related filters of the trade filters. I'll try to filter the item by Exalt on the cheapest set, and then you can kind of filter to your liking with your budget, and then also show you the more expensive possibilities with filtering by divine with better stats. So make sure if you're planning to look into those items, I'll set up the filters for you guys so everything is automatic and you can look at those items. It is not recommended you spend a lot of divines to buy those items because there is a chance of the return and also investment. So what I mean by that is there may be some rounds, not all the rounds are like this where you get a jackpot of 1, 2, or 3 divine worth of loot. There may be some rounds you just get bonus exalted orbs, some rounds you just get more rarity of item, more maps, and maybe 1 or 2 fragment. Not guaranteed to always get fragment, guys. Maybe with 500% rarity, you can get even more. So actually, let us know in the comments below, what are the best loots you have gotten with tier 15, tier 16 maps, and what are the best loots you have gotten with the Uber Pinnacle bosses. So maybe then we can do a summary to see at what magic find you're getting what items. Because around our 250 magic find, sometimes it's very nice, sometimes nothing great, but other times it's pretty good. So it seems to be working, worth the 30 seconds to swap those items. So now coming back to our notes, you can see I have done some calculations. I'll share those on the Google Doc I usually share with you guys. It's possible I made some mistakes, guys, so bear with me and let me know if I made any mistakes. So just to summarize on the tested and also theory crafting part for the magic find or rarity find setup for the summoners. With 250% magic found, we were able to get good items. So some good items we got was additional divine orbs, additional fragments as you saw in the video, and sometimes the boss entries and some tickets. Additional exalted orbs is always kind of guaranteed. You're getting a lot more exalted orbs and wave stones. So you're getting a lot more wave stones, additional exalted orbs. It is possible, and this has dropped before, for perfect jeweler's orb. And you can also get additional unique items that sells for 1 to 10 Exalt, and sometimes some really good unique items from the Uber bosses that sells for 1 to 3 Divine. And other potential Uber unique jobs coming from other Uber bosses, which we haven't had time to test on those. So in summary, around 250%, and in most of runs, it is potential to make 1 to 2 Divine with the bosses with tier 15 plus. And with some of the Uber unique boss rounds like the bridge boss over here, notice that we're switching gears, switching the gems before the fight. It is possible to make it break even or even make 1 to 2 divine. So why do you make even? Because you have to buy the boss entry. And once you buy the boss entry, usually the entry costs about 1 divine. After that, getting some good bridge ring or some unique items will allow you to sell those for 1 divine. Anything else you find from the boss is a bonus. So a majority of the time, this magic find build can break even. And sometimes you will make 1 to 3 or even 5 divine. Very rare you will lose divine because you die accidentally. Now during the testing, we haven't died simply because a miner still protects us and we deal a lot of damage. So it's very rare to lose Divine. Usually you can make it even with the Uber boss run, but be aware guys, once everyone does this boss, and then items would drop in price, and this means that you might not break even. So I share this method not to tell you guys to follow us exactly, but find other bosses, find other ways of using the magic fund build for the summoners to make even more currency. Because if everyone watch this video do this, then no one makes currency, right? You're gonna flood the market. So make sure you try different Uber bosses, or maybe you try the other Pinnacle bosses, and maybe you can try the Secret Labyrinth boss. The bosses coming from the Tribute or the Ritual, those bosses you can also try to farm and using this magic find. Now again, you gotta be careful. You have very low resistance, so you can get one-shotted. What we'll do now is I'll show you guys this entire replay of some of the testings using this new setup, and you can see how the gears are swapped before the boss and how the fights goes. At the end of the video, you can also see the used gears during those fights and also the link of the skills. Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on the official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is going to be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.